No, I appreciate your time, particularly as it is so early in the morning. Thank you so much for doing this. And it's a basic one to start with, really. And take it in turns, however you so choose. Just simply bit this. How are you doing at the moment? How's your week been so far?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Exciting. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're just like it's getting, I mean, what, 2 days
Yeah.
to it
2 days.
releases? So yeah, 2 days to the album release. It's pretty exciting, and yeah, just seeing what comes through, and trying not to overthink things, and
hmm
yeah.
Still
What the,
overthinking things in me.
I mean, you are so close to that point. We'll get to that in a minute, though. But first things first, what does a day in the life of a member of Nixil look like most of the time?
uh, we all have pretty different, like, outside of band circumstances, I think. I am an acupuncturist. Um, and uh, so that is the thing that I do. Our vocalist is an illustrator and tattooer. Our other guitar player is a Shane is a brain. What does Shane do? Shane works for Amazon and he is also
Yeah.
an illustrator and videographer for hire.
Yeah.
And he does construction
He used to
and
be a chef for a while,
was a chef.
and
Yeah, was a chef for a long
he's a
time.
really good chef. I think it seemed like he got kind of burnt out on maybe the restaurant industry. But it would be cool to see him get back into that, because I know he spent a lot of time
Yeah,
kind of,
it was like most of his adult life, I think that was his work.
yeah.
Hmm.
So there's that. I'm a mess today. Um, what do you, Alden, you do like uh
I work at a desk job. Yeah, I work at a engineering firm as like a drafter, and I manage like the submissions that go out, and check the drawings and everything. So that's pretty intense sometimes when there's a big submission, and we all have pets, and
yeah,
houses to worry about and stuff. Yeah,
lots of pets.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have to ask, what pets have you got?
I have chickens, cats, and a bearded dragon. Um,
I have
Shane
a
and his,
oh
oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
they do dogs, right?
They had dogs, yeah.
Um, I have a cat, a dog, a rabbit. My daughter has a rabbit. My daughter has a spotted gecko, what they're called.
Yeah.
They're cute.
Hey.
We had more rabbits. We used to have a bunch of rabbits, and unfortunately, we lost a couple in a really short span of time. So we still have one that is going strong.
We have a
Incredible
heron too.
variety. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got two cats
lots of
here.
variety. Cats are
So,
important. I like, yeah, so important.
as we march,
Um,
well, closer to the end of August 2023, really entering the latter part of this year, are you satisfied with what you've accomplished so far this year?
I would say yes.
Yeah, yeah,
It's been a fucking whirlwind. We
yeah.
started the year in the studio and then we've done a bunch of touring and then we hooked up with Prosthetic last year, but it's kind of ramped up as the album's gone into production and uh yeah. Yeah, I would say. What do you think, Alden?
So, it's been pretty hectic. Yeah, a lot happened in a really short amount of time. So it's been tough to like. We don't really get a lot of downtime to like plan things at the moment. We're just sort of executing, or trying our best to. The once we had this whole thing in motion with prosthetic, and we had, I don't know if we already had studio time booked, or we just like booked it
Yeah, we
immediately
did.
the end of January of this year, and then we only spent like 4 days in the studio with like an extra
Ooh.
day of last minute like mixing. So it was like 5 days recorded and mixed, and then it went to mastering, and then it was out of our hands, and there wasn't a lot of time to like really uh overthink it or overanalyze or edit or redo things, and we just sort of like hope for the best and move forward. But since then, things have moved pretty quickly. Yeah, it's been like the years kind of flown by for us, I think, for me.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So, of course, I mean, we've mentioned it already, but as of the time recording, we're 2 days away from the release of your new album, From the Wound Spilled Forth Fire, out August 25th of August via Prosthetic Records. So I want to gauge where your head is at with it right now. Basically, I know it can kind of work one or two ways. Sick of it, want to just get it out and send it out into the world, or still absolutely loving the ride you're on. Where are you at?
I'm still into it. I still get psyched to hear the songs and to play this. I mean, we haven't been able to yet play all of the songs from the record live, so every time we add a new one into the set's like really exciting to see how it feels to do it and how folks react to it. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I definitely still into it.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. It's I mean, and it's a kind of a new feeling for us as well. Working with the label, so we're excited and nervous and unsure. We're just taking it one thing at a time.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you found it easier working with the label, particularly when it comes to, I mean, obviously promotion and a more worldwide reach is a massive, massive gain. But have you felt more pressure to deliver because of the label?
I don't think so. They've been really supportive and encouraging and like engaged with the process, and also I feel like trusting of our internal process, which has been really huge. And we are all really committed to our art, to sound as pretentious as that sounds. And so it was important for us to work with a label that would give us control over what we're doing. And obviously Prosthetic has a great reputation for that, and they have, yeah, I mean, I feel like if anything, they've been more encouraging than like an overseer, like putting pressure on it. So that's felt really good for me personally, at least.
Yeah, no pressure from them. Maybe pressure on ourselves. Some of us more than others. I have a tendency to like, I don't know, overthink, but also like really, really strain myself mentally sometimes. When I feel like there's deadlines or when I feel like there's more expectations. So. Nothing was different about this from the first record. I didn't record the first record, All Knots Untied, but I joined like a month after it released. And as far as I can tell, and what I've heard and been told, like the whole process was the exact same. We recorded in the same place at pretty much the same amount of time, and it's just in someone else's hands being put out. So I think maybe the pressure to step up our game or something, like whether that's important or not was there, but we just tried to not overthink it, I think, and just went about it the same way that we had past.
Are you noticing an increase in opportunities outside of your home country? You're noticing more attention and things like that?
Yeah, that's been really cool. I think especially our first record came out like in the height of the COVID pandemic, and so I mean, there were lots of reasons why access was limited, but even just thinking about like shipping records overseas, it's like I am so touched and pleased and honored by folks in other countries who have bought our stuff from us and paid $40 in shipping. It's crazy. So now definitely, working with a label that has international reach is really great because, it provides access elsewhere that is hopefully more feasible for folks financially. But also, I mean, we'd love to play in Europe a lot. So, feeling like that connection would probably be facilitated a lot more smoothly having Prosthetic with us. So, yeah, definitely more access that way.
Okay, then. Talk to me about your vision for this record. When you first started taking those early tentative steps, what did it look like? What was your thought process?
You want to take this one, Alden?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was new when we started writing this early on, so I was more like feeling it out with the rest of the group because I didn't want to, I wanted to kind of let things go however they had gone in the writing process for the first record. So it was a little tough for me at first, like bringing ideas and kind of trying to like feel out how to implement them. But there wasn't like as far as I'm aware, there wasn't like a concept necessarily or a vision early on. C came up with the title and the concept probably about halfway through the writing. I brought a lot of riffs that ended up being on the title track, and I think that's when he determined that like this is the title, and this is kind of like the overall theme that he was working with at the time, having been like 3 songs into the writing. Ironically, the order of title tracks is almost exactly how we wrote the songs, which is kind of strange. Normally that doesn't work out like that, and it wasn't. We didn't force it, but Collapsing was the first song we wrote. I think Door Never Closed was second. That's like the 3rd track, so it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Enthrall and Door were kind of happened like simultaneously, and then Wound, Abyss, and Grave were like the last 3 songs that we wrote. Grave was the final one. It was written like 2 months before we went in the studio, so that was like cutting it really close. That one came together like really quickly. But yeah, it just sort of built organically, over the course of like a year and a half. I don't think there was like any real intention or plan until Steve's lyrics started to come together. The rest was just like writing riffs and trying to like start this connection that was still pretty new between me and the other 4 members, and understand where each of us are coming from, and any ideas that I might bring or Shane might bring or anyone else, like format them in a way that works for everyone else, and really get to know each other instead of, there was no like master concept laid out at first.
Yeah, Shane is an incredibly prolific songwriter, which made when we wrote the first album, I would say we had another guitarist working with us, but he didn't contribute riffs so much as he just kind of like added stuff on top of it. I would say the rest of us, Shane and I put the riffs together mostly. C and I had come up with some stuff prior, having known each other before, and then when Alden came in, he has a really unique style, and so it was cool to see how he and Shane work together with stuff, because again, they're both like constantly throwing in new riffs, which is cool.
It's like constant ideas, but we approach things really differently, which is great. But it's tough to it's tough to find a middle ground, but it's also refreshing because I think Aurora, I would say everyone in this band comes from a pretty different background and approach to certain things, so there's always a fresh idea or a fresh take on something. Whether it's like going to work in Nixil, then we have to figure that out. But everyone's always like helping to like reset an idea. Like I might bring a riff, but he will be like, let's try it this way because that sounds a little stock or something, and then it'll end up being like something that I never would have anticipated. Yeah,
it's really weird to go back and listen to songs and be like, oh shit, I remember that riff sounded like this before, and now it's this whole other like wild thing. But yeah, to answer your question, no, there was not a concept ahead of time. We just kind of unfolded as it did. Yeah.
Well, I want to go back to something you specifically said, Alden, if you don't mind, and talk about coming in new, being there about a month when this writing process started. How long did it take you to start feeling comfortable to bring forth your ideas?
A while. I brought ideas pretty early on, but I didn't feel comfortable sometimes. And luckily, since Collapsing the Poles was the first song we started, it didn't have a title, I don't think, at the time, but it was already like half of a song at that point, so there was a nice little starting point. And I think I contributed like the melody that's in the bridge part where we're repeating lines. That's just like something I started playing in the room, feeling it out, and like the ending riffs, I think I helped a little bit, but there was already like a pretty solid structure for that happening. But when I came up with riffs, it's like, I don't know, I work in this room a lot. That's where I write a lot of my music for my other projects, and I've recorded a lot of stuff in here. And working in a room with other people is something that I've done before, but it's been a few years after COVID, taking a break from collaborating with other people. So lately I'm just in here and I write a riff and I record it. And if I like it, then I start arranging it and then I send it out for mixing somewhere else if it's going to be released fully. So I think it was different for the group to like get emails with like riffs arranged, and like I would, once I start writing something, it kind of flows from there. And I might send out like a 4 or 5 minute temporary, like song structure, and I'm always prefacing every email. It's like, this doesn't have to be this way. It's just what happened. Like, and I think I was nervous that people would think that I'm like trying to step on anyone's toes or I'm trying to like do too much but I also don't want to hold back the ideas, so that was kind of intense for me because I didn't know like how that would be received, and I didn't want to like, come across like I was trying to just write 3 songs at once or something. It just, to be productive and send out the ideas, even if only 1 or 2 are going to be used, if a certain riff resonates with someone in the group and they can help flesh it out into something special, then I'd rather send it, rather than keep it to myself and stress about whether it works or not, But that was it took a few months, I think, to get comfortable, because that's the way I work, and everyone else works a little bit more like taking a phone recording or just bringing the riff to the room and showing everybody. Where when I work in here, I'll write a bunch of riffs, but I won't necessarily remember it next week, because it kind of just flies out spur of the moment, and I record it as I work and then I move on, So I think it took a little while to like understand each other, where we're coming from and how to best take all these different ideas from all these different places and put them together.
I'd love to get your perspective, Aurora, in regards to making Alden feel more comfortable. Was that a thing you were all actively trying to do?
Yes, we wanted to enfold him as soon as possible. No, we just really appreciated his style. I mean, being a thing that has been difficult for me is that, again, Shane and Alden are both like incredibly prolific songwriters and would come to the space and play off each other really well. And I'm like, all right, so where the fuck does the bass fit into this? So having Alden send riffs out and like giving me something to play with at home was kind of transformative for me in terms of being able to like fit things in, because otherwise the two of them are like coming up with stuff on the spot and it's really fast, and which is great, but also, I want to like allow them to do that and then also have a place that's an interesting addition for the bass. But yeah, I mean, we all really wanted him to feel comfortable, and we're trying to encourage him. I feel like we adopted a lot of the riffs that he came up with, and yeah, I don't know.
And everyone was super welcoming and polite, and like, this is one of the most like mature groups I've ever been in. And I've worked with like a lot of, not to say anything bad about anyone previously, like I've had great relationships with all my previous bands and band members, but this is a group where like everyone is wildly different, and there aren't really, I don't know, like after over 2 years, there aren't really any serious conflicts. It's when there is a disagreement, it's handled really, really well, and everyone is respected and heard, and we work through things pretty seamlessly, like, so far. Everything's been great.
Knock on wood. Yeah.
So everyone was super kind and welcoming and appreciative, and like we just help each other. It's not, it's there's no competition, and there's no stress, or if there is an idea someone doesn't dig, like they have every opportunity to say that, and that's okay. It's okay to not really like the way something's going, and we did say that a couple times, about my ideas, about one of Shane's ideas, about the way maybe he was playing the drums in one part. Like, you just have to voice your feelings, and then we'll work from there. I think that's the most important thing, is to just hear each other and understand it. And we've worked through things super, super well together, so it's been pretty smooth and seamless.
Well, the end result speaks for itself. The album is an incredible release, a revelation, let's be honest, in forward-thinking experimental black metal. So congratulations on that. I expect it to be hugely successful across the world, let alone in your own home country.
Thank you.
But I have to ask, picking up on what you kind of said before about the tracks as they came together, it doesn't sound like much ended up on the cutting room floor. Did a lot? Is there a lot of stuff pushed to the side for potential look in the future?
We had already booked studio time, and when we all of a sudden had this potential record connection thing, so it was more that we had to put things together and less that we had to pare things down for this record. Although there is definitely a litany of ideas that were not like fleshed out yet and are still saved in phone recordings and emails and stupid riff names written on a whiteboard. But yeah, it was less paring down and more like just having to kind of quickly create as much as we could in a way that felt natural and good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely some of the songs started, like I think Abyss Unto Abyss started as two different demo ideas that I had sent out, and we kind of picked the parts we liked and mushed them together, and then left the other ones behind. Not, in my opinion, there's no real reason to revisit that because it'll just sound too similar. But there was some material, but yeah, like Aurora said, it was a lot of like kind of not rushing, but like we were on a time crunch at a certain point to assemble something, and there is an anxiety that comes with that, like wondering, are we not being critical enough? You know, we don't want to just like slap things together. But I think it was just the right amount of time, you know, to make it all work and be happy with it and feel like it wasn't just being rushed out the door, you know.
That time crunch you speak of sounds like potentially the most challenging aspect of making this record. Is that true, or do you have something else that individually you thought or found to be the most challenging part of creating this record?
I think it was the time crunch for sure. To revisit what you had asked about previously, I think like if there was an element of pressure for me around working with a label, and that it was because of the time crunch. We just, yeah, like wanting to get something done that was up to our own standards, let alone up to this other like amazing organization of human standards, in a time frame all of a sudden. And we were working with a recording engineer who we all really, really respect, and you know, we got to be in the space with the stuff complete by this date. And yeah, that was definitely intense. But it also, there's something about that anxiety that kind of like that fuels creativity in a way. Like if you can get out of your own head and just kind of like, I don't know, use the tension as a source of inspiration. So I think that probably came through a little bit in the songs too.
Yeah, I've personally never worked with like a deadline before, which is, in my experience, has been a detriment because I'll take months or even years to finish an album. I put it out, or I'll have it done and then I'll just sit on it and be like, I don't know, I don't know how to release it. I don't know what to do with it. Is it the right time of year? And overanalyze it. It's nice to have a deadline, but it got pretty hectic. I've never made an album in 4 days. Like that was, and most people don't make albums in 4 days, you know. So there was a point where it's like, I don't know, I didn't mean it. I don't want a deadline. Like I want to have another week or something to, you know, and that did extend into everything else as well. It just kind of like, it was like a waterfall of like, all right, the album's done. Well, now videos, but we have to have the video out by this date. And we got plenty of time, but we got to plan and find locations and edit. And all of a sudden, everything is coming down to the wire. And again, it's great because it forces us to just like get our stuff out the door and not get in our own heads about it. But yeah, another couple days here and there is always helpful when it's like it's done, but we need to finish this thing or that thing. You know, it's not to take forever, but yeah, I don't know. There's good and bad, you know, and it's exciting. So I think we handled it well. I think we're hoping for a little bit more flexibility next time with just like now that we know how this works. We've worked with Prosthetic. We'll have our deadline, but we'll know to plan ahead of time a certain amount more, and we'll know what we need to give ourselves next time, I think, to feel a little more comfortable.
It's a learning process, and ultimately there was excitement it came from. And sticking with that, things that were exciting, things that you enjoyed about creating this album. Is there one or two specific things that, when you reflect on the entire process, that you thought, I love doing that, it challenged me, or I just found it a lot of fun?
Recording videos is always really fun. Chaotic and often very cold, and generally leaves some kind of bruises or something afterwards. But fun. We got to record in a couple of different locations for videos, which we'd not done before. With the videos for our previous album, they were all done in our former practice space, which was this like insane old meatpacking facility. So there's all
Right.
these like weird technology and stuff in the space. So yeah, that I would say recording the videos was fun and interesting. When whenever all of us are in a room together with space to fuck around, it gets a little silly. So that's fun. Yeah, I don't know. Everything about it was challenging, but interesting. I mean, trying to keep up with all the Shane's songwriting was good, very challenging, but also really, I feel, inspiring for me as a player. I mean, I was in mostly like doom and post metal bands prior, so like it was definitely a lot more bass heavy, but like a lot less technical. Whereas in this band, especially on this album compared to the first, I was kind of like pushed to explore new ways of playing, and I have like way more ideas of what I want to do more aggressively on the next album. So there's that.
Yeah. For me,
What were
it's
you?
probably the excitement of like hearing opinions and feedback. So, this is a great example here. I watched your reaction video for Enthrall when it came out. I thought that was really, really fun. And I liked that there were 3 different personalities on the video who all had 3 pretty different reactions to it. So that was pretty entertaining. And
None of us use pseudonyms, by the way. These are all our actual names. It felt important to say that. Go ahead.
Yes. We now know. We now know.
no, it's all good. But yeah, that was fun. I look forward to that. It's scary, when it gets out into the world and it's going to be judged and critiqued. But that's exciting for me. I try not to take it too personally. If someone really doesn't like it, you see there's a lot of opinions out there, and there's going to be hate and there's going to be complaints, and that's fine. It just means people are hearing it and absorbing it, and like, so that's exciting and frightening for me all at the same time. And I think the making of process is a whirlwind and kind of a ball of stress. So to get it out is just like a weight off my shoulders personally. So that I kind of look forward to that more than I enjoy the writing. I don't enjoy the build up to release, and then I can finally like move on when it's done. At least I feel like kind of reset, and prepare for the next thing.
I understand that, but ultimately you are going to have to live it for a while. And in this, picking up what you said there, and like, for example, that was our first taste, understanding, or ever knowing who you were. And since then, it's been a whirlwind ride where, the full album review has gone up, and in context, and the entire thing is simply spectacular, enough so that it's created this buzz and excitement to see you live one day, hopefully over here. But ultimately, what follows is reviews, and comments and opinions online and stuff like that. How do you handle that part of it? Do you go out of your way to read and comments and things and opinions of just social media, or do you try to stay away from that aspect?
I've banned myself from reading comments.
Fair enough.
It's too positive or negative or neutral or whatever. I don't know. It's still too fresh for me. It feels, I don't know. This is to use a tropey term, this kind of is our baby. And it's hard to know. I Alden in particular has been really good at like going through comments and being like, hey, check out, this is what some people are saying. And so that feels a little bit more, even when they're, whatever, and on the range of opinions about stuff. It feels easier for me to take it in bites rather than dive into like all of the internet trolls in the universe. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy to engage with people in person, but the internet is it's hard for me. So
Yeah, yeah. In person's always easier, especially at shows and stuff. Not that you would meet like someone who hates your stuff at a show. If they want to come to a show, come to a show. I would just hope they would voice their issues politely, and we can talk about it. It would be great. You know, it would be a lot easier to talk to someone than try and like read their potential sarcasm in their you know what it's. I think we're all pretty different people in person than some people may expect, but um, it's whatever. You know, it is what it is, and it's kind of exciting and it's kind of scary, and it happens to everybody. You know, it's not like this is a unique problem. You know, so you just got to deal with it, and we just try and do what you feel is right, and you know, worry about that. You know, that's enough on our plate to try and like deliver our vision and our ideas to a standard that we're happy with. Like as long as we're happy and we feel content, you know, it's you got to take everything else in stride, I think.
Oh, that's what I want to hear. I mean, I'm glad you have that thought process. It can really bog you down. It can drag you down in general, let alone when you're putting a piece of art, a piece of work, a piece of yourself out there. The negative side of online social media, which seems to be predominantly these days, it's incredibly dragging. So your outlook is refreshing to hear. Put it this way, when I don't speak to many bands or artists via interviews who have positive things to say about social media, so you're far from alone in that fact.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Is there one specific track from the album that you're particularly intrigued to see people's reactions to, either in person or even online?
Door Never Closed is a song that has not been released yet. It is a song that is personally really important to me because it was this weird like synchronous thing that happened that a very, very close friend of mine had passed away and it hadn't shared that information with anybody else in the band. And then we went to band practice and C was like, here's what this song's about. And there is a lot of really intense parallels to what had happened with my friend. So it's weighty for me, and I feel like it's in the music, and I am curious to see how that comes through for folks. Yeah. I mean all of the songs I feel like are kind of an evolution from our first record, so I'm curious to see, especially folks who were into it before, like how they relate to the new material. But that's probably the one for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. Door Never Closed. We were talking about doing a video for that. That was going to be one of the singles originally, and then we kind of, I don't know, we just decided like maybe the more intense songs are maybe a better first look. It's hard to decide, you know. And all the songs are pretty different from one another. They're all uniquely like their own thing, and they stand apart, I think. So it was hard to decide what to show first. But I think the two unreleased, well, there's three, but the two main of the unreleased songs are A Door Never Closed and The Way is the Grave, in my opinion. And they're probably the two most, I don't know if unique is the word, but they're very stylistically and artistically different, I think, from the other four songs, which all have like an identity of, you know, they might not be as intense as one another, but they're conveying the same vibe, I think, whereas Grave and Door are a little more like somber and layered and dynamic, I think. So yeah, those are the two I'm hyped about, and they're my two favorite songs, I think. And ironically, I don't think we played Door live yet. We talked about it. No, we did one time.
Yeah, we did in DC.
In DC, we played Door one time. So we want to start doing that.
Alarm off.
Yeah, I don't know. My big thing is just like, I think the songs strengthen each other, and I think the record flows really well, and I think all the songs are different. So to hear your review of the full album after you know, like you said, you weren't really sold on In Thrall, and that's fine. Like I think In Thrall is a challenging song to just take in all at once, because it's a lot of like repetition and whirling and repeating, and it's like, where is this going, you know? But in my opinion, it fits in the album, and I think the songs help each other when you listen to them in order. So to hear like your review basically saying that means so much to me personally, because it kind of reinforced like my hope that like, don't worry, like the album is cool, you know what I mean? Like we're not a single band. I don't know, you know, it's hard to write for us to write a song that just stands out on its own and does everything you need it to do and speaks everything. We just don't. I don't know if we'll ever do that. Maybe one day, but it's kind of the opposite of what you should do in this day of like streaming. But for us, an album format where you put it on and you listen to the whole thing and it flows is like, that's the goal, right? Like to deliver a full product where every song is equally important and meaningful and takes the experience in its own direction. So the fact that you enjoyed it and you know you thought it was a strong experience, whereas it started kind of as uncertainty, like that makes me feel really, really good. So I really appreciate and thank you for, you know, writing the review you did and just saying that, because that means a lot to me, at least, when it comes to the songs and you know what my favorite part is. I don't have a favorite part really.
I'm a strong believer in first impressions aren't that important, and particularly with your music, you know, you listen to more, you unpick, you delve deeper. This isn't a pop song. It's not a 3-minute pop song with a hooky chorus and that's the end of it and you move on. You want to spend time with you guys, and that's been a joy to do up to this point, and I can't wait to see what comes next. You're playing live tomorrow, right, at the Bug Jar in Rochester, New York. And then on Friday at what I thought was the excellently titled At the Fucking Gallery in Rahway, New Jersey. Are these, I have to ask, are these album release shows? E.g., you potentially going to be doing the album in full? You're going to be playing a lot more tracks from it and so on?
We're playing different tracks, but not the full album. We're playing with a bunch of really awesome, I have to say, forever, just as a side note, like one of my favorite things about playing in this band is how much we get to play shows with other folks, and the underground scene is really thriving and amazing, and we get to play with a lot of really cool, interesting, creative bands, which is no different for these two shows. So yeah, they're not full album shows, but they will feature different songs than we've been playing before.
Something people look forward to. And then you've got 6 dates at the start of October. Check your website for details, folks. That's what I was looking. Are you aiming to get out as much as possible by the end of this year and throughout 2024? Is that the focus now? Tour?
2024 for sure. I think at the end of the year we're gonna slow down a little bit for some personal stuff. And also we're like already percolating new song ideas, so want to take some time to work on that stuff. But yeah, definitely we want to get out as much as we can. Yeah.
What are the possibilities of you heading over our way and into Europe in 2024? I know this is a big ask. I know it's financial as much as anything else, but we know some festivals you'd be perfect to. Our festival season in this country is kind of coming to an end now. Most of the big ones are done. But yeah, what's your thoughts on that? Is it a possibility, or is it wait and see what happens?
Anything's a possibility. If you build it, we will come. I don't know. Give us the option. I think yeah, anything's a possibility.
Yeah.
We'd love to, is the point. Yeah.
It would be incredible. Yeah. I think it's a daunting task for a band like us to take on, but you know, we want to, and we know, like Aurora said, if it's doable, we'll try and do it for sure.
Yeah.
It would be great.
Yeah, Bloodstock Festival, if you know that, has just passed, and there were Prosthetic Records signings bands on that festival there. So you know, there you go. That's 2024, I think. Personally. And on that note, then, what's an achievable goal you'd like to reach over the next 12 months?
Play out as much as we can. If we don't get to Europe, get at least to the West Coast. We haven't gotten to do that yet. We live in a area of the country where it's really easy to get to lots of little places in the area. So it's, we've mostly stuck over here. Get a substantial amount of a new record written, I would say. I don't know if we could get an entire thing done, but who knows? I mean, it's possible.
So I think writing is the big focus soon, because we spent so much time preparing for the release and making videos, and every little thing that has to be done, the questions have to be answered, and the label, what they want, for the scheduling and stuff. So I think writing is on my list to focus on next. Like, we'll do the shows as they come, but I need to kind of crack down and just start recording riffs and coming up with new things. So when we're ready, I at least have something to offer. And I think Shane's doing the same. And I know C and Aurora have an idea that we kind of didn't get to work on during the writing of this past record. So we'll probably start on that pretty soon. But for me, that's the next thing for sure, is at least just like stay prepared with new ideas.
The future is bright.
Feels that way, hopefully. We live in a dystopian hellscape, but anything's possible.
Okay, I've taken up a lot of your time, but we have a couple more minutes left if you don't mind, for a completely different section. This is Ozzy Osbourne, and in his head hold randomized cards with randomized questions, from the most serious to the most nonsensical. I'm going to pull a few out and take it in turns to give an answer, if you would please. We'll start with Aurora and then go to Alden. So first up, okay, what is your go-to purchase when playing Monopoly?
I have not played Monopoly in forever. That's a great question. I don't even know if I could answer it. I don't remember. I honestly
Train
don't remember
stations?
last time I played Monopoly. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess.
I had
places that people tend to land on. I don't know.
Yeah, I had a Star Wars Monopoly board, so things were worded a little differently. But it's also been a long time for that. I think I would say like whatever I can afford.
Yeah, isn't that the damn truth?
Yeah, I'm not the most I'm not the most savvy Monopoly player, so I think I just buy things and try and bunch things together. So I own a bunch of an area, but I don't remember. I don't recall names and streets.
I remember losing a lot. I would end up in the jail thing a lot when I
Right.
played that game.
Bankruptcy, jail. Yes, capitalism at its finest.
Yeah. Truth.
Okay, next one. What is a fandom that just frightens you a little?
Baltimore is really rich with anime stuff. People, I don't know, all due respect to folks, people go real wild with that stuff. There are like cons about a mile away from us every single year, and it like saturates the city, and it's wild. I don't know if it scares me, but it's definitely, people spend a lot of time and energy and money and stuff. It's quite a commitment. Yeah, I don't know. Jurassic Park.
You're talking to one. I'm a big Alien and Predator fan. So this room I'm in actually has quite a lot of little Alien and Predator things sitting around that you can't see. But I don't think fandoms. No one fandom scares me. I think fanaticism for something can go too far, and once you start bitching at each other about whatever new movie came out and like how they handled it, I think you're kind of an asshole. I don't know. Like, it's okay to like these things and to get into them. I just think there's an obvious commercialized aspect to all of this that you should recognize, and you should go into anything knowing that like a movie studio probably doesn't have your characters and stories' best interest in mind. So just take it with a grain of salt and hope that it can be, at least if it's like an average interpretation, I think you got lucky. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think I think being a fan of something is exciting and it's fun and it helps bring people together. Just don't let it rule your life, you know.
Folks go wild. Same with black metal though. Black metal fans are wild too.
Yeah, yeah. Let's not talk too much about that.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
probably should have said black metal as the fandom.
Probably should have, but
What is a meal you cook better than anyone else in the band?
I have to, for all that folks are gonna roll their eyes, I can't eat gluten because I have a thing with that. So I can bake gluten-free stuff better than anybody in the band. I don't know if that's a whole meal, but I can do it.
It's an incredible skill. I mean, it's such a I mean, I was just at a festival, and while gluten-free options and stuff like that have improved from like 5 or 6 years ago, you're still shit out of luck for the most part,
yeah.
at least for quality. So
Yeah,
any
it sucks.
skills like that is incredible.
Yeah. We are in a band with some folks who are like, C was a professional butcher and chef, and Key was also a professional chef, so they could probably cook better than any of us. Shane apparently won a bunch of chili cook contests, so that's good. Randomly known fact about that dude.
I made
What's
some
yours?
killer barbecue chicken and grilled veggies for the band one time when they came over to my house. But other than that, I don't have a whole lot to contribute. That's one of the things that I'm like really like. I have imposter syndrome about a number of things, but I wouldn't call it imposter syndrome when it comes to cooking because I feel like I can't do anything. So I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I try.
It's unfair when you've got a chef within your band. I mean, it's unfair, basically. Okay. What is the strangest thing you own?
Oh my God.
The strangest thing. We own C and I live together. We own a human skull, but that's not super strange for black metal. Don't worry, occultists. Strangest thing. Like looking around my house. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's yours?
I think strange to most people would be like really awesome and cool with us. Like we're really like,
it's by context, isn't it?
Like,
yeah.
I don't know if I have strange things. I have, like I said, I have a whole bunch of Alien and Predator stuff sitting around me, which might not be appealing to some people if they come to meet me. Like, oh wow, like you're pretty deep into this. I have a cool thing. I have a Lars Ulrich drumstick from 1986.
No way! That is incredible.
A family friend caught this on the Master of Puppets tour and gave it to me like 8 years ago. He's like, "Hey, you want this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take that."
What's on it?
It's like the gauze tape that it's like the gauze tape that he put on there.
Oh, cool.
Original crap. So that's something that just like sits on my desk and doesn't do anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't have a whole. I have I don't know. Yeah, strange.
Yeah.
I feel like there's answers that we could be giving, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. That's a cool thing. That's just like a weird little gadget on my desk.
I wrote that card specifically just so I could hear the cool shit people own. So, you know, I think strange is just it's so out there. What one person finds strange, another person finds cool, exciting, interesting. Do you see that pinata behind me?
Yeah.
Right, so that just seems like your average pinata, but to me, that is the pinata. So there's a horror movie out there called Killer Pinata, and it's about a killer pinata. I watched that movie and then went shopping with my partner, and on the shelf were a bunch of pinatas, and this is the one from the movie. And it was like 2 hours after I watched it, I was like, I have to buy that, I have to buy that, I have to buy that. So it sits up there now behind me. Most people just think, he's got a pinata on his shelf. Sure, why? But no, it's actually a killer pinata from the movie. So yeah,
has it killed anybody?
I tell my nieces and nephews when they stay over that it will come to life at night, but no one ever believes me. So yeah. All right, one more for you, and I'm going to let you get on with the rest of your day. What is your favorite Disney animated movie?
Fuck. I oh my God.
Now, if you don't, to be fair, we can cheat a bit in this one. If you don't watch or have seen a lot of Disney animated movies, we can throw in Disney and Pixar, the stuff that came later as well.
This is for I went
Like, that doesn't help.
no, there was a period of I remember when there was like some scandal about the original Little Mermaid having a bunch of like weird pervy things in it. I don't know if you guys remember that. Like the priest gets a boner at one point and a whole bunch of stuff. I got really obsessed with that for a minute. Back in the day, not out of a like lascivious sense, but just out of like is that all in my head? Is it real or what? Or like why are people seeing this now? That's probably the one I've seen the most. I don't watch a lot of Disney. Yeah.
I've not heard that specific one. I've heard a few things like from The Lion King and from The Rescuers. You pause at some point in The Rescuers and there's a topless woman.
Oh shit, The Rescuers. I didn't remember them. Yeah, I like Rescuers.
In The Little Mermaid, it's like flagrant in some parts. Like I guess the part where they're like going to get married, and it's crazy because I guess you wouldn't notice. Why would you be looking at an animated priest's genital area? But like it looks like he gets a boner. I don't know. It's pretty weird. Check it out.
Castle, I think the underwater castle looks like a giant boner too.
Yeah, totally. Also,
it might have been on the cover art rather than like the poster rather than the movie. I can't remember, but I know it was pretty obvious at one point. And a lot of those films had little things snuck in there. Even in Lion King, I remember hearing that like when Simba flops down, like the leaves that go up in the air.
Yeah, spell sex.
Yeah.
I don't see it, but yeah, who knows?
Pause.
Exactly. It's fucked up.
Yeah, I'd probably be super generic and say The Lion King. I think that's like the pinnacle like animated film from Disney. But I'm going to say just out of like nostalgia, way before The Lion King came out, I was really into The Sword and the Stone. I think that came from like the era of Disney when they were like recycling a lot of their old shit. It's like what's like the golden age of Disney is supposed to be like Snow White and stuff and the original films or whatever, and then in like the 70s, I think it was, they started like just churning out reused stuff, and like they would reuse animations and whatever. And I don't know, whatever. I don't care about all that. But The Sword and the Stone was one that I watched when I was like 5 and 6 over and over and over and over again. And then like that was early 90s when I had that on VHS and was watching that. And I think that one really like resonated and stuck with me for a long time, for good or bad, whatever. But so that's probably like, that has a special place to me, whether it warrants one or not.
It's pretty metal.
Yeah, we got Merlin.
Yeah, wizards and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I know what I'm doing for the rest of the day. Watching The Little Mermaid and pausing it everywhere. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. From the Wound Spill Forth Fire, out August 25th, 2023 via Prosthetic Records. I wish you all the success with it and the shows for the rest of the year and into 2024. Yeah. I hope to see you at some point in the next year or two. Fingers crossed. But for now, again, thank you so much for spending so much time with me.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?